Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining the session. My name is Joe. I'll be your host. Dan is in the room. We are ready for an on-time start. Two bits of housekeeping. We'll get right into Dan's presentation. Number one, thank you for your patronage throughout the year in the virtual events and, of course, the live shows. We appreciate it. Keep your feedback coming. Secondly, if this is your first time watching this live presentation, please have put your questions inside the chat box, and we'll get to as many as we can during the presentation. With that said, it is my great pleasure to introduce to everybody Dan Sauer. Dan is the president and CEO of Vertical Petroleum Industries, based in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Currently, Vertical Petroleum partners with multiple operators, geologists, and field engineers to ensure success of over 40 projects, which he's drilled over 68 wells for more than 10 years. I believe it's your 10-year anniversary, Dan. It's great to have you back, sir. The floor is now yours.
Well, that was a great introduction, Joe. Thank you very much. Let me start with a couple things. First of all, I would, in addition to what Joe just said, I'd like to say thank you to everybody. This has been an unbelievable year, both for, I believe, Money Show and especially Vertical Petroleum Industries. For those of you out there that have come in with us as partners this year, I'd like to say welcome. We are underway and going strong. Let me have that, Lisa, if you could.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And I'd like to say thank you. And we're about to have a very big year and an amazing outlook on what 2026 is going to be. Joe, you're still with me, right?
I am with you. Yes, sir.
If you've known me for a long time now, and
Mhm.
one thing that everybody knows about me is pretty technically challenged. So they left me with a screen where I can't see anything. I can't see you where I normally can, but so I'm just going to trust that you're there. So I don't want
I
you
am
to
with
go.
you.
I kind of want to talk back and forth a little bit throughout this presentation. Is that all
Sure,
right?
no problem. I'm with you. Yep, of course.
Joe, I want to wrap up this then and say, or not wrap this, but wrap up my thanks, especially to you. I can tell you right now, we've worked very closely together over the last few years, and I appreciate everything you've done. I owe tremendous gratitude to not only Money Show, but you in particular. You represent Money Show very, very well, and you've always been a great addition to my virtuals as well as a lot of the live shows that we do. And I thank you for everything you've done. It's that time of year that we're kind of, looking back and seeing what's going on.
Mm.
And you get to, show your gratitude toward everybody. So I really say thank you to you.
Right back to you, pal. I really appreciate those kind words, and I think the world of you, and I appreciate that.
Well, let's address the people that are now watching. That's
Let's
enough
do it.
for just a second that are this back and forth. Give my shout out to Kim and Aaron and Chantal, the whole team. It's been a big year. It's been a great year. Okay, so as Joe said, for the people that are watching that have already either seen this or gotten involved, I'm going to show you a little bit about what we're currently doing right now, and I do want to at least mention, I won't have any graphics for it or anything about what's coming up because we're quite ahead of schedule. As it turned out, we sold out pretty much very, very quickly. I thought that we would still be on this program that I'm about to show you all the way to the end of the year, and I'd probably pick up what was left. It didn't turn out that way. We haven't even got to Sarasota. Speaking of Sarasota, I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, Joe.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be in Sarasota, but now I'm doing a mad rush of taking what was going to be our 26 project. I'm going to have to take one away, and I'm going to gamble that we will be able to do our first project of what was going to be in 26, and we're going to do a mad dash because there's a lot of people that still want to come in before the end of the year because of the tax advantages. We're going to talk about this. But that being said, I'm going to show you what we're currently working on. If you do like what you see, I think there's a little bit of room maybe that I could probably put somebody on this one. But if this interests you or if it intrigues you, what we're talking about today, as we get together and I talk to you, maybe even in some cases, we'll have you out. I fly a lot of our partners out to come look and see what we're doing so they can, see it, taste it, touch it, feel it, and really get to live it before they become a partner. And if we do that, it might be on a project that is actually the newer one, even the one that I'm about to show you. So if you're following along with everything I just said, kudos, because I know I just said a mouthful. But let me show you kind of the project that we're currently working on and what made it sell out so quickly. I thought it was going to take us through the end of the year, but we're already pretty much through it. But let me show you why. So I'm going to try to watch the clock here, Joe, so I don't run over. I know I'm typically very long-winded. If you see as I'm going through, if you can see, pretend you're looking at it for the first time, Joe, and if you have something that you think I should clarify, just jump right in and say, Dan, how's that work? And
Will
give me
do.
one of those.
You
So I'm
got it.
going to kind of go through some of the stuff that we do normally. I do like to start every program with this one right here. It says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Warren Buffett said that, and it was one of the things that got me into this business in the first place. Now, guys, let me explain something. Unlike stock, unlike an investment that's more thought of as a traditional investment, this is a private placement deal. What we do is we drill oil wells. That's what we do. And we do them by having private investors come in. We get the whole thing completely funded. At that point, once it's funded, we drill, test, complete the project, put it into production, and then we essentially we just split all the revenue that's coming up out of the ground every month, and we just split it with our investors, and that goes month after month after month. In most cases, years after years after years. So it's a tremendous opportunity to get involved if you want to generate monthly revenue. And that's what this is all about. But what's the icing on the cake here is the fact that by doing that, because it's oil, specifically, or energy, specifically oil and gas exploration, it is a 100% tax write-off on that initial investment. And you just don't get any better than that. So the tax advantages alone is a huge draw for people to want to get involved, especially this time of year, because everybody's always looking for write-offs. Imagine being able to move money directly from what you've got working now, or maybe not working for you real well right now, moving it over into energy, oil and gas exploration. You literally can write it off, and you get that whole investment as a write-off, and then it turns back around. And then if that will create revenue coming in on a regular basis, so much the better. In fact, there's even additional benefits to that. And we're going to go into that a little bit on the tax advantages. But so at any rate, we've all seen and we've all grown up with them. It says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, well, we've all driven by the freeways and you look out, off the freeway and you see these pump jacks going up and down. Well, somebody's making money on that, whether it be one of the big majors or whether it's a private placement deal and everybody's splitting the revenue that's created from those oil sales going on month after month. So that's how it works. So let me go through it. My team has put this together for me, and they basically said it was important that if somebody wants to invest with our company, it's important to know who we are. Well, I live in a small town. We're from Oklahoma. For any college football fans out there, I'm a big Oklahoma Sooner fan. And of course, I was pretty happy about the whole OU Alabama game last weekend on Saturday, and Tennessee the weekend before that. So obviously, anyway, I'm from Oklahoma. My wife and I, we've been married for 30 years. I've got 5 kids. I've got one still left at home that's going to start college here in another year. And that's who we are. So if anybody that's from a small town, I can tell you, small town people are a little bit different than big city people. And I share that because of the fact that the right people will know that difference that I'm talking about. Values sometimes reputation is important to me. And, so we do all of our business accordingly. My background is mostly financial. It's not in the oil business, unlike what a lot of these people will tell you. When I say these people, other oil companies, a lot of times it's very generational. They're a third generation oil man. Well, I'm not. I got into this business as an investor, and I can tell you, I didn't know that much about oil, but I do know, money out, money in, and that's what I concentrate on. And I've never found anything like what I'm about to show you. And I think by the end of this, you might agree. So My background, like I said, mostly is in finance, real estate, and then I got involved into oil and gas. Because of our success, we're in our 10th year, and because of our success, I've had the opportunity to speak around the country on this subject. I have had the opportunity to speak with some of the greats. These are some of the engagements we've done just over the last year. You can see these cities that we're dealing with, New York, Phoenix, Atlanta, Palm Springs, Miami, Memphis, Orlando, Denver, the East Coast. I mean, we go coast to coast, speaking on this subject as well as gathering partners, while sharing the stage with some of the investing greats. And I got to admit, and I got to hand it to you, Joe, you guys surround yourselves as well with some of the best speakers that I know. So for those of you who are watching this as a virtual, if you've never had the opportunity to go to their live events, those live events are incredible. Joe, you always bring in, some of the best people. I've got to be friends with a lot of these people. One in particular that you guys have worked with many, many times is Steve Forbes. I've got a couple of pretty funny stories. I'm way over on time already, so I won't get into it. Steve's just a great guy. I mean, he loves Steve Forbes to death. A great speaker. If you've ever have an opportunity to hear him speak, I would try to take advantage of it. Charles Payne is a regular at the Money Show. Charles is brilliant. You're all familiar with his work on Fox News. He's written a couple tremendous books. Robert Kiyosaki, you all know Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he's probably one of the best tax guys that I know. He's a huge proponent of oil and gas. I will say that. And a lot of it has to do with the way the taxes work. Kevin Harrington, he was an original shark. He was one of the original producers, and creator of on Shark Tank. And now he's actually moved on. He's no longer on Shark Tank. He has produced a TV show that I had the opportunity to be a part of, that I've got a small clip that I want to show you. It's called American Entrepreneur. And what he does, he highlights a lot of companies around the country that are up and coming. And fortunately, I've been very blessed. My company has grown huge over the last 3-4 years. Even though it's our 10th year in business, we're shooting straight up almost. A lot of it has to do with you guys, Joe, as well as some of these opportunities that I've been able to surround myself with some of these guys. But at any rate, I've got a small clip of when I was on with Kevin, and I want to show that to you now. So I'm going to start with that.
Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from Shark Tank. Founded by a real estate and oil investor, Vertical Petroleum Industries provides its partners with exceptional projects offering exceptional returns. And joining me today is CEO Dan Sauer. Dan, thanks for being here today.
No, you can hear that, right?
It's an honor to be here.
Yes, sounds good. Yep.
Okay, good.
Awesome industry. And I just want to know, how long have you actually been in business now?
I started VPI in 2016, but prior to that, I had actually invested in several projects.
Oil and gas?
Oil and gas.
So you've been in oil and gas for the last 7 or 8 years.
Strictly in oil and gas for the last almost 8 years now. Prior to that, my background is more in real estate, finance, but I had invested in a number of oil projects, and that's kind of where I learned that they've got some incredible benefits.
Let's talk about it. I mean, I want to know, why is oil and gas such an attractive opportunity for investors?
Well, primarily 3 things is usually what most people concentrate on. One is because I invest in oil fields. I don't invest in large companies like Exxon or Chevron. By investing in oil fields, the returns can be spectacular. I've literally seen partners get 2 to 3 times their investment back within the first 12 months.
Wow, that's awesome.
And the biggest thing probably that gets a lot of people's attention is the tax advantages. The IRS has a code that states that if you were to invest in any domestic energy, specifically oil and gas exploration.
Domestic, right? Because
Yes.
they want to bring it back to the U.S.
And specifically oil and gas exploration,
Gotcha.
100% of your initial investment is a write-off.
Oh, wow.
So that's
awesome.
like getting 30% return on your investment back
Right
the
away.
very first year,
Right.
regardless of what we produce.
Gotcha.
So
Right.
that's a huge benefit. And then the last thing is you're not watching stock going up or down. You're not doing, it's literally monthly revenue. This is a revenue-based investment, which allows, monthly checks, coming home every month.
Do you have to be an operator, or are you an operator in this business?
I'm not. And I was investing with an operator prior to doing this, and I learned that there's some disadvantages to that, actually. An operator typically is the outfit that's out in the field doing all the field work. I'm what's called an oil developer. And an oil developer to the operator is similar to like a land developer with a general contractor. The only problem is with an operator is they have what's called carried interest.
What does that mean exactly?
If you invest with an operator, it's a percentage of the deal that the operator literally takes off the top, causing the investor to literally pay for his portion of his ownership.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes 25, 30% of the deal ends up being owned by and he never puts up any of his own money.
Does VPI have carried interest?
No, they do not.
No, good.
No, what we do is we literally put our funds in the same as our partners. So we pay for our own shares, just like our partners.
Oh, awesome. What do you say to those that don't know much about this industry?
Our paperwork that we'll provide is pretty clear. It's pretty simple to get through. Most of our partners are professionals. They're generally accredited investors or sophisticated. However, they rarely have a background in geology or petroleum engineering.
Right,
Nor did I.
But you hire those experts,
That's
right?
exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
We
okay.
surround ourselves with some of the best there is.
Yes.
So ultimately, they're coming in for the incredible tax benefits and the profit margins.
Right. So Dan, tell me who your typical partner actually is.
Kev, we have over 200 partners now. Where do I start? They come from every walk in life, from all over the country. They're generally professional. Sometimes they're retired. Sometimes they're working. Mostly Republican. However, I think that if I were going to put a common denominator between every one of our partners, I believe that they have one goal in mind, and that's mailbox money.
Mailbox money. That check in the
Ultimately,
mailbox every
they're
month.
looking to have revenue sent to them each and every month. That's one common denominator, even myself, that we all have as a partner.
Awesome. Is there an example of something that you guys have been involved with that has turned into a great project for you?
There's an old saying. It says, the best place to find oil is in an oil field.
Right.
We don't take a lot of risk. We don't do what's called wildcatting. We're
Right.
going to go out. We generally will do leases right out in the middle of where all the big boys are out there drilling anyway. We already know there's oil there. All
Right.
the testing has been done. And we do mid to shallow stuff that's got a very, low risk factor.
Low risk.
That's
the key.
And the returns have been, very solid.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Dan, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. The folks that are out there that would like information, I want you to visit VPIOFOK.com to get started. And Dan, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I appreciate you having me.
You bet.
You bet.
Okay, I think if there was a takeaway that I wanted to probably talk about from that video, it'd be these things right here. If you've invested in oil and gas, you are familiar with this, at least if you've invested in oil and gas private placement, because there's obviously, as you now know, there's the significant difference between investing in oil stock versus a private placement oil deal where you actually own part of that project. Now, what makes VPI so successful are these three things, and I've talked about it many, many times. One, your initial investment is a write-off, so you've got some great tax advantages there. But in addition to that, you also have some tax credits. One of them being the revenue that you are making on a monthly basis. 15% of that falls under depletion, and it falls under what's called the small producers tax credit. And so 15% of all the revenue that you make on an annual basis is tax-free. So in addition to that, the profit potential can be incredible, as well as, we refer to it as mailbox money. This isn't just watching the value of a stock go up, but you're actually receiving revenue every month. And it's because of those three things, it's very, very attractive to a lot of people. Now, we keep talking about the tax advantages. I've mentioned the two most specific ones. Robert Kiyosaki, who is he's an oil investor. He's a huge proponent of oil and gas. And I think if you looked up entrepreneur in the dictionary, you're going to find Kiyosaki. I mean, this guy's he's an amazing guy. I've got a small little video of him and his accountant Tom where they're speaking back and forth about tax advantages of oil and gas. And it's not very long, but I want you to hear this because he kind of spells it out very, very clearly. So this is Robert Kiyosaki on oil and gas.
Hello and welcome to the VPI channel. Robert Kiyosaki has been a long-term proponent of investing in oil and gas. Today's featured video is a YouTube classic of Robert discussing oil and gas investing with his CPA. We hope you enjoy.
You know, Tom, one of the reasons I love investing in oil production, I don't invest in oil companies like Exxon or Chevron. I actually invest in oil fields. And one of the reasons I love oil is because of the tax breaks, right? So if I put $100,000 into an oil investment, what happens next?
What happens is you get such a big deduction the first year that it's like the government handing you a check for about $30,000.
So if I put $100,000 in, I get $30,000 back right there.
Immediately.
So that's like a 30% return day one. So that's really what most people do not understand, that the tax laws are really incentives for professional investors. Right?
That's exactly right. And this is true in most countries. While the tax laws vary, like oil and gas, in the U.S., anybody who invests in U.S. oil and gas, no matter where you live, gets that same tax benefit.
So let's say I put $100,000 in, and it's very easy to get a 10% cash return. So the $100,000 I put in, and every year I get $10,000 coming back in. What kind of tax do I pay on that $10,000 in cash flow?
Oh, that's the next great thing. From a tax standpoint in the U.S., you only pay tax on about 80% of that income.
So we get a tax break because we're doing what the government wants us to do, which is to provide energy and fuel. And you know, oil doesn't just go to gasoline, it goes to fertilizer, plastics, and a whole bunch of building materials. So a civilized country runs on energy. Without energy, civilization would crash, and that's why the government gives us
tax incentives.
Okay, so the first two that we talked about, you know, you've got tax advantages and you've got profit potential. Well, for me to talk about profit, I've got to talk to you about the project. Now, I don't want to go too far into the project right here because we're about to move into yet an additional project. We've been working on the Thunderbird for the last several months.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but you probably have about 7 or 8 minutes, just so you know. Thanks, buddy.
Okay. Well, if you weren't being such a chatty Cathy there, pal,
I'll make your ears bleed if you let me.
Thanks for keeping me on track, because I'm looking at the clock going, okay, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to cut you. Like, I don't want to press you, but
no, I'm with you. And I don't really need to go too far into this, but I will just say this. We've been working on a project called the Thunderbird. It's been unbelievable. We're getting ready to we've already started the projects, actually. I think the rig's moving in here in just a few days. We've already got all the pads done, and it's pretty exciting to be where we are right there. We're doing 4 wells in this project with a lot of various pay zones. So this should be an incredible project. So anyway, the production, before I can talk about, you know, I do like to always introduce, this is my chief geologist right here. You know, one thing I always mention is that, you know, my background's not in oil and gas, but sometimes I forget to say that, you know, my theory in business for my entire career has always been that I do realize I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I surround myself with the best there is. Well, this is a prime example. You know, I don't have to know about oil and gas if I have the best landman, the best geologists, the best field engineers, and the best wireline and mudloggers. You know, all the people that are out doing what they do are the people that I've compiled to do this for us. And this is a shining example of what I'm talking about. The Oklahoma Geological Society has given Ed, this is Ed Kaiser, he's my chief geologist. They've given him an award of distinction in recognition for his educational and historical contributions. He's got 5 major oil discoveries, 7 new field discoveries. I'm saying right now that there's people that have been around for years and years and years and years that have never received one of these. And he's a rock star in the industry. And the fact that he's on my team says a lot about what we've been able to do. But here are the facts. The well data of this well that this project that I'm working on says that we should do about 300 to 400 barrels per day on each one of the projects, so, or on each one of the wells. So that's based on this right here. These are what's called scout tickets. These are ones that people have been around, 600 barrels of oil. BOPD is barrels of oil per day. And you've got around us doing 600, 700, 200, 600 plus natural gas on a couple of them. So we're definitely out there in good company. I will only go into an area where there's stuff around me that's being drilled. So, we don't do any wildcatting. It's, we'll pay more for a lease that way, but, I want to be in an area where everybody around me is drilling and hitting oil. And that way, it's kind of a no-brainer that way. At any rate, he said that where we are on this, it really boils down to we should count on at least a couple hundred barrels a day from these wells, even though there's bigger wells around us. If we had to figure on our profit margin, what we can run our numbers on, he said, I feel you're totally safe showing 200 barrels of oil per day as a suggested minimum. So that being said, we can talk about profit. So at 200 barrels a day, that's what he told us to go on. If you take that over 30 days a month, it works out to be about 6,000 barrels at $65 a barrel, which even when it's at 75 and 80 and higher, I still figured at 65 when it's at, 55 and 60 and 65 is a good medium because these will last for years. So that's where a lot of people will figure their medium. So it's at $390,000 per month. If you take that, we get 78% NRI, which means the 22% goes to the landowner, the mineral owners, and we get 78%. NRI means net revenue interest. We make 78% of that. That would work out to be a little over $300,000 per month at 200 barrels a day. Now, so I want you to keep this figure in mind, 300,000 or 304,000 monthly net revenue. What I've done is this project that we're working on was about a $2.9 million. We own 100% of that with 78% net revenue. What I've done is I've broken it into 15 units. So this is what that means. Each unit's $196,000 investment. So let's pretend for a minute you come in for a unit. It's 190 for easy math. I'll just keep it at a unit. We've already established the monthly net revenue for the project is $304,000. If you divide that by 15 units, that's about 20 grand a month per unit. If you take that over 12 months, it's about 240,000 a year. So I want you to, I know I ripped right through that because of time, but 240,000 anticipated annual net revenue per unit per year. Guys, at $196,000 investment, that's 124% ROI. Now, I will say at this point that even though there's a slight decline curve, that these wells, these are all vertical, these aren't horizontal, these are vertical wells, and these are designed for longevity. They will last. I've got wells, I'll tell you right now, I've got wells that I own. Right now, we've drilled probably just under 70 wells, 40 projects, but I own, I purchase wells as well, and I have about 175 wells under management, for VPI. And so it's real. I'll tell you right now, 124% APR ROI is, I know it's through the roof and it's almost too good to be true. So I always say this, he based it on 200 barrels a day, which would make 240,000. So I always tell everybody, if you're looking at any project, I'd say cut it in half. What if it only did 100? Even at 100, you're still making 120 and 60% return. There's a lot of room for error here, guys. Do it again. What if
Dan, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Price of oil, if it keeps going down, Trump's yapping about $2 gas.
Yeah.
How does that affect it? I mean, I know you're
That's-
super conservative in these numbers.
Great question. And one of the things, in fact, it's probably the best question I could think of that you'd want to hear right now. Let me just say this. These are all the numbers you're seeing in front of you right now are based on $65 a barrel. So not only if I cut the production in half, I mean, I feel pretty confident we're going to be up at those higher numbers. But not only could you cut the production in half, but let's say, unlike stock. Now, I'll tell you right now, Exxon, if you don't get $45, if it drops below $55, they're losing money. And everybody throws everything in turmoil. You know, this showing right here, let's say we drop it down to 50 barrels a day. Now, my chief geologist says we'll do 200. But if I only do $50 a barrel or 50 barrels a day, it takes me down to 31%. If it gets cut in half, even if oil went down to $30 a barrel, $32 a barrel, that'd still be at 16%.
Wow.
APR.
That's impressive.
So there's so much room for error, and that's because of how the nature of the business works. This is all paid for. We don't take on any debt. We don't have, unlike the big companies. It's all paid for before we ever get in the ground. So everything that comes out of the ground is profit. If that oil gets cut in half, we're not going to make as much, but we're still making a strong return. So that's why we survived. We even grew during the COVID era. We showed that we were making money with people when other companies weren't. And I'll tell you, when we get really into the weeds on this, it gives people a very strong comfort that, you know, you don't have to have that strong oil. In fact, it's almost better for us because we are putting a lot of wells into the ground and we can get in so much less when the oil prices come down. It's actually good for the people who are building their oil stock up. So we don't have to have those high prices. So that's the best way I can think to answer it. Well, I know we're getting close on time. How are we on time, Joe?
We're a little over. We probably have a couple of minutes left because we unfortunately have another session starting in
Well,
about 5 to 6 minutes. But go ahead, finish up.
Let me just wrap up then.
Yep.
I can tell you right now that if you look up at the very top of this screen right here, the S&P 500, you know, 8% for a traditional return stock. I mean, you know, if you're making 8% every year, you know, a lot of people feel pretty good about themselves. I know how that feels, you know, but I've got a lot of risk mitigation in what I do. I am not careless with the way we put these out. And I can tell you it is really, really not hard to beat this S&P. Plus you get great tax advantages and it's monthly revenue coming in. So if you're looking for something that you'd like to build a good, you know, monthly revenue coming in for years and years to come, it's really, really hard to beat. All that being said, I know we're over, Joe. So let me just say this. I'm going to just skip to the end and say, thank you for a great year. It has been phenomenal. Anybody this sounds intriguing to, I'll get the information. Just put in the box. Just say I'd like to hear more. One of us will reach out. We'll send you all the stuff. If you're really intrigued, I even will do a thing where if it's intriguing, I even will fly you out. We'll bring you out to the field. We'll show you exactly how it works. So you can see it live and in color. I know not everybody does that. We do it because we're looking for partners that'll be years and years with us to come. So Joe, I want to thank you again for everything.
Thank you, buddy. Right back at you. Right back at you. You're a great partner of ours. Obviously, you always promote. And I do want to mention two things. Janine Burns, she had a question earlier. Janine, get with Dan and the team directly. And then there was literally a question just came in from Nava Bernstein asking about the last project. So guys, get with Dan directly in the virtual booth, which will be running through tomorrow evening. You can shoot them a contact and they'll get right back to you. They're super responsive, but those two folks had come in late. I'm sorry we can't get to those questions right now because time permitting, we've got another session that's starting. But Dan, thank you to you, your entire team. You guys are pros. I will say this, Dan's going to be with us in Sarasota, December 1st through the 3rd. It's a live event here at the Ritz-Carlton. Yeah, and we're excited about the new venue as well. So please come see us in Sarasota, December 1st through the 3rd. And then the first live event next year will be the National Conference in Las Vegas, February 23rd to the 25th. You may have seen a marketing email go out today, folks, with the first iteration of the show program. We have a great lineup for both events, so come see us live. Dan, we appreciate you, my friend. Thank you to you and the team. I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks, and everybody have a good rest of your day and rest of your week. Dan, thanks again, my friend.
Okay, Val. Thank
Talk
you
to you
again
soon,
for
buddy.
everything.
Thank you. Right back
Yeah.
at you. Thanks, pal.